office at Century 21 Bryan Realty. And, you know, we are a real estate office, but I really look at our company, and my vision for the company is a success company. You know, the vision statement for our company is success through real estate. And, you know, we define success as achieving your goals. That's the definition that we choose to use. And I think I've told you also that we subscribe to the Zig Ziglar philosophy of you can have anything you want if you help enough other people get what they want. So by helping the clients achieve their goals, we can achieve our goals. And, you know, our clients may want to sell a house, but really that's not their ultimate goal. And them wanting to sell that house, it may be that they want to move to a better neighborhood for their kids, or somebody's been transferred and they want to get the family back together. So really, you know, selling the house is not the ultimate goal. There's another goal there. And really the real estate, selling it is really just more of a tool in order for them to achieve their goal. And, you know, for the real estate agents, it's kind of the same thing. Buying or selling is not our ultimate goal. Each of you has your own goal as to whether it's to, you know, support your family, support yourself, to be able to have the money to buy a new car, or to support your family and still have time, the flexibility to spend time with your family, your kids and stuff. So, you know, for us, it's the same thing. And either one of them is really, the real estate's not the goal. The real estate is really just a tool. And, you know, if we're going to achieve the success through real estate, or achieve our goals with the real estate as our tool, then, of course, we've got to know what our goal is. And everybody's searching for success, or it seems. And some people are searching, but they don't really know exactly what they're searching for. They don't have specific goals. And I always say, if you don't know where you're going, you're going to end up nowhere. So, you know, in the movie, or the story Alice in Wonderland, Alice asked the Cheshire Cat, meets him up on a tree and says, "Which way should I go?" And the cat asked her, he said, "Well, it depends, you know, where do you want to go?" And Alice says, "Well, I don't know." And the cat tells her, "Well, it doesn't matter which way you go then." So some people are like Alice, you know, or actually I'd say most people are like Alice. They don't know where they're going. And some of them don't even care where they're going. They're just there. But, you know, there was a study done at Harvard a long time ago, and of course Harvard is a top school, and they surveyed the students, and they found that 3% of them had written goals. They went back and talked to those people again in 30 years later, and they found that the 3% that had the written goals actually had a net worth higher than the whole 97 other percent, the 3% that had the goals. And they also found that the ones who regularly reviewed their goals were in the top 1%. So that study suggests to us that if we set our goals and have written goals, then we're going to be ahead of 97% of the other people in this world. So that's another reason to set your goals. The sad thing is most people spend more time planning their vacation than they do planning their life or their goals. And if you get ready to go for vacation, you'll get on the internet, do your research, you'll send off and get brochures, you'll talk to other people, you'll find out, you know, if I'm going to this place, you know, where do I want to go, where do I want to stay, what restaurant do I want to go to, what should I avoid. You do all that research for the vacation. And, you know, you look at the brochures, you look and you say, okay, well, I'm going to pack 3 days before, and I'm going to take these clothes, and on the day of the deal, I'm going to get up at this time, I'm going to go to be at the airport at this time, I'm going to arrive at this time, and I'm going to do this. The next day, I'm going to get up at this time to do that, and you have the whole thing planned out. And that all works good until you get back from your vacation, and then the people fall back into the routine of you get up, you go to work, you come home, you watch TV, you go to bed, you get up, you go to work, come home, watch TV. It's like, you know, the mouse on the little wheel, working hard but going nowhere fast. And that's from not having goals. You know, if you're going to build a house, you're going to have a house plan. You're going to start building a house and just start out there setting corners or doing whatever. If you're going to make a movie, you're going to have a script. If you're going to fly an airplane, then you're going to have a flight plan. You know, you're going to have some kind of plan. And if we're going to succeed in our business or life or whatever, then we need a plan. And if you don't have a plan, then the chances are that you're going to fail, that it's not going to work, and that you're going to fall into somebody else's plan. And if you're looking in somebody else's plan, what do they have planned for you in their plan? They have zero, nothing. So, you know, successful people have goals. And like I said before, nobody gets anywhere unless they know where they want to go. And the most important thing about goals is to have the goals. That's the most important thing. And the first step to getting what you want is knowing exactly what you want. Most people have dreams. Very few have goals. Like the 3% actually, the ones that have it written down have the goals. And there's a difference between the two, the goals and dreams, and the two important differences. The first, you can have dreams and not intend to work on them, not intend to take action. And if you don't intend to take action, then it's really not a goal, it's just a dream. And the second thing is having them written down. And there's 3 good reasons to have them written down. The first, if you have the written goals, it increases your odds of success. Just like the blueprint, the flight plan, or the movie script, each is a roadmap to help you achieve the successes that you want. Without each, you're going to have a harder time, and like I said, you're probably going to fail. The other thing about writing down your goals is it helps increase our motivation. By knowing exactly what we want and being able to measure our progress, then we can track it, and as we recognize our progress, then we're more inspired to do other things to get more progress. Because if you work along and you don't feel like you're not getting anywhere, it's hard to keep working. You get unmotivated, depressed, or whatever. But if you know exactly where you're going to, and you can see the steps you're making, then it's easier to get to that next step. And the third thing about written goals, I said it puts you ahead of 97% of the other people. And so what could be better than being ahead of 97% of your competition? And by having written goals, it'll get you there. And if you're going to have goals, they need to be SMART goals. Some of you may have heard this before. SMART goals, specific, knowing exactly what you want. If your goal, for example, is to get a new car, that's okay, but a more specific goal would be on a 2012 red Corvette with a tan interior and a Bose stereo system and whatever. It needs to be measurable. You got to be able to measure your progress and know when you reach your goals. I saw a speaker, I don't remember if I saw him live or on tape or where I saw him, but he's asking people about their goals, and one lady said she wanted more money. So he gave her $1. So, are you happy? And it really just depends. If you want to be rich, what's rich to you? Is it $1 million? Is it $5 million? Or just being able to pay your bills? So you need to have it measurable and attainable. Your ultimate goal may be to be a millionaire or billionaire and own a chain of restaurants. Well, that's not the goal you're going to start out with. If you want to be a millionaire or billionaire, you may start your first goal to save $1,000 just to get started with it, or to open your first restaurant before you work on your chain of restaurants. Another thing is realistic. I can never be a pro basketball player. I'm too short, too old, too fat, and I'm not very good at basketball. But if that was towards my goal, instead of being the goal of being a pro basketball player, maybe I would want to work for a pro team, or maybe even more, I may want to own a pro team one day. And then I could go play with the pro basketball players because I owned it. I wouldn't put myself on the floor. But your goal has to be realistic. So I'd never be a basketball player, but I could own the team and go out there and play with them. And then time-based. Your goals have to have deadlines. If I say I'm going to lose weight, that's not really a good goal. If I say I'm going to weigh 210 pounds by January the 1st of 2012, that's a specific, measurable goal. And that's one of my goals right now. I've got it. That's what this band. I've got this on to remind myself when I start to eat.
Pop yourself.
Either pop myself or just looking at it to remind myself of what I'm eating. So it's easy when you start to set goals. It's easy to come up with, say, 10 goals or whatever. You can probably rattle those off just like that. But there's an exercise that I've used a couple of times, and I actually still have the papers from it. This is one. I didn't write the date down on it, but it was from before 1995. And I sat down, and I remember I went to Kurth Library and went somewhere it was quiet, left my cell phone in the car. I might have had a bag phone back then, I don't remember. But anyway, I sat down there and filled up the page with the different things, my different goals. And, you can get to about here pretty easy, but as you start going down there, it takes a while. And I was looking back through them, a lot of them have been crossed off, not all of them. And then here's another one that I used in Y2K. And this one I decided I'd done that before. This was before 1995. I don't know the exact date. But this one, I remember I went to Nacogdoches to the park over there where they have the tank. I can't remember the name of the park. You turn to the right before you get to Nacogdoches. And I went to that park because I wanted some place where I wouldn't be disturbed and everything. And I decided to write 100 goals. And it took me a couple of hours. And I got, there's front and back, I got 100 of them. And like I said, you can sit there, those first ones, man, they'll pop out. And then after you get down the list a little while, you really have to stop and think. And when you're getting on above 50, you really have to think. But if you take that time to do that, then some of those goals that are really inside you will come out, as opposed to just the things that are on the top of your mind. And so that's just an exercise that I've used before in setting the goals. You know, once you get them written down, then I went back and I divided them in 1, 3, 5, and 10-year goals. And divide them all up. And actually, I put them on separate sheets of paper. And then, you know, once you get your main goals, your 1-year goals, then you put them on a piece of paper. And I put them in at least 3 different places. Right now, the 210 pounds, I've got it on my mirror in the bathroom. I've got it on the visor of both of my vehicles. And I've got this to remind me too. But you need to put it someplace that you can see it, so that it keeps you in front of you. You've heard the law of attraction. Whatever you think about, you draw to you. So you want to have those goals in front of you so that you can think about them all the time. Another thing is visualizing it. And you know, you need to visualize your goals. One of the goals that I had, well, a couple of different ones, but one of them I had was the car I'm driving right now. I had the goal for a while of a motorcycle, and this is the picture that I had cut out, and this is back when I was at the other office, and I'd stuck this on my bulletin board, and it was a goal to get the motorcycle. And I've got this motorcycle now, actually I got it on 12/20 of 02, because I wrote down there when I got it.
Is that the bike there?
That's the bike. I had mine repainted, but that was the bike that I wanted, and it's in my garage now, in my shop right now. But I kept that in front of me every day to keep focused on that. And after I had achieved that goal, and it felt pretty good, I decided I wanted something a little bit bigger, you know. And I thought, well, you know, I spend a lot of time in my car. I drive a good bit. And so if I could drive any car in the world, what car would I want to drive? And I started looking into it, and I decided I wanted a Lexus hardtop convertible. And I went to Dallas. A friend of mine went up there to Sewell dealership, and I got in the car, test drove it, took the top down, felt what it like, you know, driving the car. We drove around the loop a little bit, and I had him take this picture of me sitting in that car. And I put that on my screensaver. I put it on my bathroom mirror. I put it on the dash. I was driving, I forget what year, a Blazer, Chevy Blazer is what I was driving at the time. But I had this stuck, a picture of this stuck right there on the console by the speed limit thing, so that I could look at it all the time. And if you look at that picture, that's exactly the same car that I ended up with. It took me a couple of years to get there, but that's exactly the car that's sitting out there right now. And part of that is from having that goal in front of me. Another one is my beach house. Of course, I lost my beach house. I'm rebuilding it, but you know, that was one of my goals, and I think it's back here on this one, back from 1995 even. And it took me a long time to get there, but I started looking for the beach house, and I'd gone down there, and Sandy and I would go look and hang around and look, and finally I found one that I thought I would like. It was about halfway finished, and I thought, well, this is good. I can go and finish it, and it'd be a good deal. And so I came back, and on Monday I called the realtor to make an offer on it, and they had just got a contract on that weekend. I thought, man, I couldn't believe it. So I went back down there, and I went back to that same house, was looking at that house, saying, man, if I just called Friday, you know. But I noticed on the lot next door there was a Keller Williams sign laying down in the grass. And so I went over there and got the number off that, and ended up calling, and the people were in a divorce and a bankruptcy, and I forget what they had it listed at, whatever the tax value was, which was low, but I offered them $10,000 for it, and the bankruptcy judge took it. The people didn't even have a choice. Wow. And so I ended up getting a beachfront lot for $10,000 there. And so then, after we got that, we moved a travel trailer down there. And we'd go down there and spend a little bit of time, had it cleaned off, had a travel trailer there. And there was a geotube, a hump that they had put sand over to kind of protect it. And I remember going out there, and everybody else was already in bed, and I went out there and standing on that geotube, and I was picturing my house up there. I mean, I was standing just like this, picturing my house up there. And it took a couple of years, but we ended up, that same house that I was visualizing there, we ended up, you know, having that house. Of course, we lost it in a hurricane, and I'm doing it again now, but that's just another example of the goals that's worked for me. Another one that Sandy had we was looking at one of the realtor magazines, and it had pictures of offices in it. And she said, I want a new office. We were over on Denman, and I told her, we just built this office, and, you know, we're not going to be moving anytime soon. And she said, I want a new office, and I want it to look kind of like this right here. And she ended up cutting out that picture out of the realtor magazine and sticking it on her wall. And about two and a half years later, here we were over here. And I told her, I said, no, I just built this office. We're not moving. You know, we got plenty of room here, but we ended up right here, and it's not exactly like that picture, but it's close to it as far as the inside of it. And another one I'd written down, and actually I had it written down on this sheet. It was a number, I don't know what number it is right there on that sheet right there. The goal was to make $100,000 in 1 year, and that was one of my goals. And we were on South First Street. I don't know if some of y'all may remember, we were over there next door to the old Texaco station. The building actually had been bus stop, and I think it was a gelati ice cream place before us, had a chrome ceiling in it. And anyway, it was me and Sandy and I think we had 2 other agents maybe, I don't remember. But one day I was in the office and some guys came in, and they were in town looking for some commercial property. And they had stopped at Donovan's, which was the big company there on 59, and they'd stopped there, and for whatever reason, they weren't happy with whoever they spoke with, so they'd done a U-turn, and they were coming back, and they pulled into our office and came in there and talked to me. And from those guys coming in the office, I ended up putting the deal together for the Lowe's property over here on 58. And it took over a year to get that together, but I got a check for over $100,000 for that one deal. And so within 2 years of having that as a goal, I achieved that goal. And then I also went on from there and ended up doing one in Nacogdoches for them, and then one in Leesville for them. So, but it started out, I mean, I don't know how it worked, but I had that goal, and they could have gone anywhere. They could have been happy there. They went somewhere else first. But they turned around and came back to my office and ended up achieving that. So that's just another example of what can happen. You know, anything is possible. If you can conceive it and believe it, then you can achieve it. And success, you know, you talk about the secret to success, and I don't think it's really a secret. I think success is simple, but it's not easy. I think it's basically just a 3-step process. And I think that's having a goal, having a detailed plan to reach that goal, and working that plan every day. You know, in our office, we focus on goals, attitude, and persistence. That's their posters right there. And so, I mean, that's what I think is the foundation of achieving the success. Knowing what you want, keeping a positive attitude, and never, ever give up. And that'll get you there. There's a lot of good books out there as far as setting goals. My friend Billy Cox wrote this one, and I think y'all, I've given this to some of you. I don't know if all of you received it yet, but my friend Billy Cox wrote this. We met Billy. He was, I think he was living in an apartment at the time, and Sandy was working in the home show, the Lions Club home show. And it just so happened, and I don't think she had one other agent, so she was working most of the weekend. And they just happened to come strolling up at the home show, and they had a young child, a young boy that ended up being the same age as our daughter, and so they got to talking to them, and we became friends. Sandy sold them a house. I think it was their first house, actually. And he was driving an old baby blue Taurus at the time. And we got to be friends with him, and so I knew him, you know, when he was just really getting started out. And Billy's smart, but he ain't that smart, you know. But I followed him and watched him, and he went from there to being the president of an international sales organization. And he did it by using the techniques that we're talking about. And as I watched him move up, I thought, you know, I can do that. He's not that much, I mean, he is smart, but he ain't that much smarter than me. And so, you know, I started using some of the same techniques and things that he was using. And he ended up writing this book, and he was nice enough to give me, you know, permission to use the book. And so I've given it to everybody that starts with our company. And, you know, setting your goals, there's a lot of books out there. This one is a good one. I suggest for the first time that you use a book, you don't have to. You can do like I did and just go out and sit down and write your goals down. But it's a little bit easier when you have something to follow by. So if you don't have one, I'm going to give you that book. and I suggest you use it. Here's the first time that I used the book, and I don't use it all the time now, but when he first gave it to me, this is has a little page that you sign your commitment that you're going to promise yourself you're going to do what you're going to do, and that was in April of '06, and I kept the book, and I've got my some of my goals written in there. So if you're truly happy with your life and your life is complete and you don't want anything else, then God bless you. You're a lucky person. Tell me your secret. But if you're not, if you want something different or want something more, then you need to make a change. I always say if you do what you've always done, you're going to get what you've always gotten. If you want different results, you've got to take different actions. So my challenge to you is to take action. Take this book and use it. Affirmation that we use every week. I alone control my future. What I do today makes my tomorrows. Well, my advice is to take action, take control of your life, set your goals, and you can make your future be whatever you want to be. And I'm here as an example that it works. And it works for me, and it can work for you too. And so that's what I wanted to share with you about the goals. I want to give you the book and encourage you to write your goals down and take